How much Bitcoin do you need to retire? I'm gonna give it to you guys straight. You're gonna have to get your hands on a decent amount of Bitcoin if you want to retire early and live a cushy life. What's up, guys? My name is Tariq, and in this video, we're gonna talk about exactly how much Bitcoin you're gonna need to retire, depending on kind of which country you live in and your age and things like that, and give you guys some really actionable advice that you can use to kind of prepare yourselves for either an early retirement, if you're thinking about, quitting work early, or if you're looking to work until the traditional retirement age, which is around 59 and a half, I would say in the United States or most Western countries. I'll give you guys some actual advice as well. So like I said, guys, be sure to smash the like button if you like this type of content, and be sure to check out my X profile. I do a lot of posting on X, so check that out. Link in the description below if you guys want to follow me on X. And also be sure to check out my website, guys, tarikpierce.com. I provide a lot of actionable material about Bitcoin on there. So if you guys are learning about retiring on Bitcoin or basics of Bitcoin, you'll be able to find a lot of that information on my personal website. So let's get into the video, guys. Let's do it. So first off, okay, guys, I know the majority of my audience, okay, so the about 35 to 40% of you watching this live in the United States. So we're going to tailor a lot of the advice in this information for Americans. I'm an American, okay, born and raised in Washington, D.C. So like I said, we're going to start off with American. Then I'm also going to give you guys some alternatives. You guys wanted to retire potentially in like Southeast Asia, Central America, South America, Europe or things like that, and give you guys some actual advice as well. So let's get right into it, guys. On CNBC, I'm reading an article, and I'll link this article in the description, and it says how much money you need to retire in every U.S. state. Okay, so according to GoBankRates.com, you're going to need, on average, around $1.36 million to stop working. Okay, and that's simply because, a lot of times in retirement, you're going to have like an annual withdrawal rate of probably around whatever, the average per capita income is in the United States. Now, obviously, it's probably inflation is going to, inflate these numbers a bit, but we're just going to go with it and say that if you stopped working, you could somehow, if you're single and things like that, obviously you have a family, you have to bump the numbers up a bit. But assuming you're working, you want to retire comfortably in the United States, you're probably going to need an income of around $50,000 to $60,000 per month, okay? Or you're going to need to withdraw from your retirement savings, okay? Now, there's a couple ways we can do that. We're going to talk about how to use Bitcoin to do all of this. So, guys, since I'm from Washington, D.C., I wanted to give you guys kind of the higher end estimate, so that way it'll cover all of the states. So we're going to use the numbers in New York, okay? The reason why New York, obviously it's more expensive there. New York City is the largest city by population in the United States. So if you guys can survive in New York, you can really pretty much survive in any state in the United States. So according to these numbers, you're going to need to spend about $73,000 per year in retirement. And if you wanted to retire for 25 years, so let's say you want to stop working, you want your money to last, you're going to need around $1.2 million. If you want to retire for 30 years, you're going to need at least $1.5 million. Now, all of you guys watching this video, I want you guys to retire with dignity, okay? We're not talking about cutting your expenses to rock bottom, doing things like, all of these crazy things that a lot of people in retirement have to do because their incomes go down. So I want you guys to be able to retire comfortably, stay in a safe place, safe neighborhood. Keep a lot of the hobbies that you have. If you want to travel, I want you to be able to do that as well. And you're not going to be able to do that if you don't have a substantial nest egg. It is crucial, in my opinion, to use Bitcoin to provide a decent nest egg for you guys in the future, okay? You really can't trust fiat currencies, okay? They debase them all of the time. They inflate them away, As I mentioned in previous videos, since 2020, the M2 supply has increased by 40%. So all of us have basically been robbed by 40%. That's how much value our money's lost. And for some of you younger guys watching this, you're probably going to be retiring in the next 20 to 30 years, and inflation is really, really going to hack away at your savings. So you need to make sure, obviously you want to have your 401ks, you want to have your IRAs and things like that, but have Bitcoin as a backup, okay? Life happens, okay? Emergencies happen. Maybe you guys are going to have kids in the future. Maybe you have grandkids. So you need to plan for all of these things. Maybe you'll go through a divorce, okay? Divorce is a huge wealth crusher and forces you to work longer, okay? So you need to prepare for all of this. Bitcoin is probably the best insurance policy for this, because assuming you guys get in financial trouble in the future, or you get a divorce, or you have a bunch of kids, or you have grandkids, you have to take care of your grandkids, all these things can go happen in life that are unpredictable, and you might have to tap your 401k, tap your IRAs, Bitcoin will provide you that safety, that peace of mind to help you sleep soundly at night when everything else goes wrong in the fiat world. So, my goal is to get all of you guys watching this as close to $1.5 million by the time you retire as possible, because according to CNBC, according to GoBankingRates.com and this article, to live in New York City, retire for 30 years, you need 1.5 million. So that needs to be the goal. You guys watching this, you need to try to become millionaires if you want to retire in the United States. Now, how are you going to get there? Well, I'm going to give you guys some projections. So as I'm recording this video, Bitcoin is around $68,000 per coin, okay? It has a 10-year compounded annual growth rate. That means on average, it's going up each year, set 67%. So obviously there's a lot of catalysts going on, the Bitcoin ETFs, yada, yada, yada. I've covered that in some previous videos. You guys check it out. But I really want to stay on track here with retirement, okay? Let's assume that Bitcoin continues what it's been doing, because remember, at one point, Bitcoin was $1, then $10, then $100, then $1,000, then $10,000. And likely it will go to $100,000 and $1 million and maybe even $10 million before you guys retire. So this is a realistic way to get there, to give yourself extra cushion. Like I said, do your 401k match if you guys are working. Contribute to your Roth IRA. Max out all of those accounts, but also have Bitcoin on the side. Remember, I said, guys, try to put at least 10% of your income into Bitcoin. This is your backup plan, okay? Bitcoin is always consistent, and it's going to help you, like I said, get to retirement a lot quicker, in my opinion. So what I did is I plugged that number into a reverse compounded annual growth calculator, kind of calculate if Bitcoin continues growing at 67%, which is far better than any stock or any mutual fund you guys could buy. In 10 years' time, okay, guys, Bitcoin will go from $68,000 growing at 67% annually. In 10 years, Bitcoin will be about $11.4 million. Okay, $11.4 million. Wow. So, quick math, right? We try to get you guys close to 1.5 million as possible. 1.4, 1.5 million. That's what you need to retire in New York. According to these numbers, you guys are planning to retire in 10 years, so maybe by like 2034. Okay, especially for some of you younger guys out there. Okay, a lot of my viewers, you guys are, I'm 37, but a lot of you guys watching this are still in your 20s. Okay, especially, crypto appeals usually to a younger audience. So if you guys were trying to retire within the next 10 years, let's say you're watching this, you're 25 years old, you can retire by 35. You don't need to constantly keep looking for jobs like a lot of baby boomers in their 60s, 70s, even sometimes 80s still working. You don't have to do that if you plan now and take the advice I put in this video and take action, okay? It's very important you guys take action on this advice. I can say everything in the world about Bitcoin and how it's outperformed every asset class and how it's turned every 1 or 2 cycles, it turns people into millionaires. But if you guys don't do anything, you keep the same habits, it won't do you any good. So just, like I said, this is my opinion. This is the research I've been doing. I've been in Bitcoin since 2019. I think this can help you, so just hear me out. If Bitcoin hits $11.4 million by 2034, then if you have 0.1 Bitcoin, you would have $1.4 million. Now that's not including, your IRA and your 401k, your stock portfolio, your savings accounts, your checking account, your Social Security. Okay, you guys working for the government, you're in the military, you get pensions. So if you just get your hands on 1.1 Bitcoin, you should be able to get to $1.4 million in the next 10 years by 2034, assuming Bitcoin continues growing at the same rate, which it easily can, because right now maybe only 2 to 3% of all people on the planet even have a Bitcoin wallet set up. And then the amount of people that actually have a decent amount of Bitcoin, like I mentioned in the previous video, at least 0.1, is very minuscule, okay, guys? So we're going to just quickly go over, looking at the Bitcoin rich list right here. Less than about 8% of, only 8% of wallets have at least 0.1 Bitcoin in them, okay? So what does that mean? If you guys wanted to conservatively retire in a place like New York, the most expensive city, or most expensive place in my opinion, the most expensive state in the United States, maybe Hawaii, okay, Hawaii, New York, but New York is Big Apple. We know if you can make it in New York, you can survive in New York, you can survive anywhere, basically. So you're going to need at least 0.1 Bitcoin to retire in 10 years, okay? 2034. That would give you about $1.5 million, okay? If you get your hands on half a Bitcoin, okay? Half a Bitcoin, well, that number bumps up a lot. Okay, now you're looking at a retirement of about $5 to $6 million. Yes, guys, it's possible. Bitcoin has been very consistent in the 15 years it's been around. Okay, if you guys can get yourself on half a Bitcoin, which right now will cost you about $34,000, your $34,000 could be worth about $5 to $6 million by 2034. This can happen. So now, let's say you guys didn't want to retire in 10 years, okay? Let's say you wanted to speed up your retirement. Maybe you want to retire by 2030, okay? See some other videos on YouTube. A lot of people maybe interested in retiring by 2030. You guys are a little older. So maybe you're not 25, maybe you're around my age, right? Maybe 37, maybe you're in 40s or 50s. You want to retire by the end of the decade. When the next decade starts, you're done working. So that would give you about 6 more years. Well, then we can just simply plug in these numbers, okay? I'm just going to plug them in, 68,000 at a compound annual growth rate of 67% over 6 years. So Bitcoin could theoretically hit, okay? Let's wait for these numbers to come out. So like I said, guys, I'm using this tool. I'm going to link to this tool in the description as well. This isn't like, there isn't really a lot of tools out there that kind of do this, make this easy for you. And I might actually come up with something and put it on my website, like a Bitcoin retirement calculator. But right now I'm just using a compounded annual growth calculator. It's free, it's available. I'll put the link in the description below, but it's really easy. Just plug in the value of Bitcoin, then you put in the growth rate and then the amount of years, and it's really simple. Okay, so here we are. It's finished working. So according to this, if Bitcoin keeps growing at the same rate, Bitcoin should hit about 1.4 to $1.5 million by the end of the decade. And that sounds about right because Kathy Wood and other people, they kind of say that Bitcoin will hit about $1.5 million by the end of the decade. And there's also a movie out there called Gold that was released in 2022. There's a subliminal message in there. The guys are like sitting in the car and they say Bitcoin just hit $1.25 million. So I really do believe that Bitcoin will hit $1 million within this decade. So if Bitcoin hits $1.4 million and you guys wanted to retire by the end of the decade, in a place like New York, a very expensive city, then you're going to need to get 1 Bitcoin. Okay. Now I know what you guys are saying. Oh, $68,000. Where am I going to get $68,000 from? Well, you guys are going to have to hustle. Or if you guys have things like assets, right? You can sell some of your stocks, transfer that into Bitcoin. You guys own your own home. You can take out some home equity, buy Bitcoin. You could borrow. Okay, borrow from your family members. There's a lot of creative things that you guys can do to get your hands on 1 Bitcoin, especially if you guys live in a country like the United States or Europe or Canada or something like that. Now, if you guys don't make as much money, then you're just not going to be able to retire in a place like the United States, okay? So now, I'll give you guys another option. There are a lot of retirees, like right now, I'm filming this, I'm in Southeast Asia, okay? So a lot of people retire in places like Thailand, the Philippines, okay, Vietnam, right? Indonesia, or maybe they go to a place like Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico. You guys in the States, you guys can retire in Mexico. You'll need far less money to retire comfortably. And to be conservative, guys, I really want you guys to retire well. You're probably going to need half as much money to be conservative. So if you needed like $1.4 million to retire in a place, or like New York, 1.5 million, I would say about $750,000 could help you retire in some of these other countries very comfortably, okay? Obviously, you don't need that much money, but you want to have a good nest egg. So you just cut these numbers in half, okay? So if you wanted to retire in 2030, okay, in a place outside of the United States, then you probably need half a Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin's projected price in 2030 should be about $1.5 million. So half a Bitcoin will get you there. If you guys wanted to retire in a country, another country outside the United States by 2034, okay, then you're going to need, you don't need as much Bitcoin. You don't need 0.1 Bitcoin. You probably only need 0.05 Bitcoin, okay, or 5 million Satoshis, right? Which is very doable if you guys take some of the advice, buy Bitcoin, hold on to it for the next 10 years. Okay, yeah. So like I said, you just probably need about 0.05 Bitcoin to retire in the next 10 years in a place overseas. So this is all doable. Now, this is assuming Bitcoin follows historical, 67% annual growth rate over the next 10 years. So, like I said, it's not as much Bitcoin as you think. In none of these examples do you need more than one Bitcoin to retire within the next, 6 to 10 years, to live in some of the more expensive places. Now, let's say you guys really, really wanted to accelerate your retirement. You're tired of working. Maybe you're older. Maybe you're already over 50. Okay, maybe you guys are in your 60s. Okay, maybe you're in your 60s and you're thinking, man, if I don't make some money or do something, I can't ever retire. This is where you guys are going to really need to get aggressive with your Bitcoin allocation. Okay. You could literally, I believe, realistically, you guys could retire within just 2 years if you guys figure out a way to get your hands on about 3 to 5 Bitcoin. Okay. 3 to 5 Bitcoin, it would be enough if in this bull run by 2025, Bitcoin goes to my projected price range of about 500,000 to 750,000. If you take profits at the top of the market, 3 Bitcoin will get you there, right? Because 500K times 3 is 1.5 million. You could retire very, very comfortably in the United States or really any country in the world. And the best part about that is that you don't have to nearly sell all of your Bitcoin. You could sell some of it, right? So if you just need like $50,000 to $70,000 a year in living expenses, you could just sell Bitcoin slowly, and Bitcoin's still going to do what it does. It's still going to go up over time. You don't have to dump all of your Bitcoin and then retire. Sell what you need over time, right? So if you have 3 Bitcoin, which will cost you right now, it'll cost you a good chunk of change. Okay? It's going to cost you about 200 G's. But if you guys have $200,000, you get your hands on 3 Bitcoin. Bitcoin runs up to 500K. You can just slowly sell to what you need, and you're basically done working. I really believe that if you guys get your hands on 3 Bitcoin, you guys by the end of this bull run in 2025, you guys will be retired. 1 Bitcoin should get you retired very, very, very comfortably. Should get you very retired comfortably. By the end of the decade. And then if you guys can get half a Bitcoin, even just 1/10 of a Bitcoin, you guys will be able to retire very comfortably in 2034. Now, this is all like I said, this is all new to you about Bitcoin. Just understand that it's a cryptocurrency, it's new technology. It's only 15 years old as I make this video. A lot of people are going to be retired by the end of this decade if they invest in Bitcoin. So like I said, guys, quick recap. My price projection, okay? My price projection for Bitcoin by 2034, about $15 million per coin, right? You guys have 0.1 coin, you'll have about it's an estimate. You guys should have about $1.5 million in the next 10 years by 2034. If you guys can get half a Bitcoin, you should have about $7 million by 2034. And if you guys get one full Bitcoin, like I said, you should have about 15 million, which is plenty of money to retire. So what to take away from this video? Focus on accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible. Start with 0.1. 0.1 will get you there within the next 10 years. But like I said, you guys can really focus, figure out ways to make more money, cut out unnecessary expenses. That means bad relationships, bad company, bad habits, right? If you need to move. I moved to Southeast Asia, okay? If you need to move to accelerate this process, move to accelerate this process. But you don't need 5, 10, 20, 100 Bitcoin. That would be fantastic, but you guys don't need that much to retire, okay? Now, if you wanted to be mega rich and live like a boss and just ball out of control and live in mansions and all of that stuff, then fine, yes, that'll probably get you there faster. But like I said, focus on the simplicity. I'm going to put all of this math in the description below, so if you guys need to reference it or you need to keep going back to it to see if you guys are on track, just bookmark this video, save it or whatever, bookmark it and keep coming back to it over time to help you guys keep on track. If you guys need some help setting up a potential early retirement or retirement plan using Bitcoin, reach out to me. Like I said, you guys can contact me and put my email address in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. You guys comment below. And I'm going to give you guys a question so we can kind of do some interaction here and some engagement. I can really kind of hear what you guys are thinking about. Let me know, guys, how much Bitcoin do you think you need to retire by 2030? Put it in the comments below and give some of your reasons why based on, remember now, we're saying using the numbers from CNBC that are to retire in New York City, you're going to need 1.5 million. So let me know, guys, how much Bitcoin do you think you need to get to 1.5 million to basically retire in New York, which is, like I said, you can live in New York You can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. That should cover you guys anywhere in the world. So like I said, guys, thank you so much. Hey, subscribe to my channel, guys, if you like Bitcoin. I know you guys, a lot of you guys own Bitcoin. I ran polls, and the majority of you say you own Bitcoin. So like I said, if you guys like my content, you like Bitcoin, smash the subscribe button so you can get notifications when I upload another video. And that's all I got, guys. See you in the next video. Take care.